Thank you, and good morning. It's fantastic to see how many of you decided to wake up early in the morning to listen to us. So it's a pleasure to be speaking to you, and I really would like to start by giving some key figures to illustrate the magnitude of the nutrition challenges we are facing. When the MDGs were formulated in the 90s, we had 1.8 million poor people in the world. And now this number is down by 400 million. But then, in the 90s, we had 842 million hungry people, and now we're up to 1 billion people. So there's something which is not going in the right direction. In 2010, about 115 million children under 5 were underweight, and 186 were stunted. And every year we have 13 million children born with restricted growth or prematurely. We have anemia affecting half preschoolers, 42% of pregnant women. 1/3 of the preschool children have also vitamin A deficiency. And overall, 2 billion people are affected by deficiency of micronutrients. And undernutrition overall is the cause of 1 in 3 deaths from all diseases in children in preschool years. And then maternal and child undernutrition combined account for 11% of the global burden of disease. So have we seen any improvement in the last 20 years? We actually have. And this has happened mainly in Asia with no progress or even deterioration in Africa. But now at the same time, and Per was already referring to it, we have as many as 1.7 billion people overweight, of whom 500 million are obese. And globally, we also have 43 million children under 5 who are obese. But the interesting thing is this is increasingly seen among poorer population in countries undergoing nutrition transition. And particularly if you see in the last 25 years, the rate of overweight increase in preschool children has been steeper in countries of middle income. So this is happening in low and middle income countries particularly. The industrialization of the food chain, and Per was already referring to it, has changed the composition of the diet, which is now much more energy dense. We have consumption patterns which are becoming similar throughout the world, with shifts towards high quality and more expensive foods such as meat and dairy products. Complex carbohydrates such as starches have decreased, and sugars have increased 50-fold. And now we have up to 15% of energy intake coming from refined sugars. And the majority of it is hidden in foods that are processed rather than added by the consumers. Fat content has increased from 20 to 40% in many countries. And this increase has particularly been steady and rapid since the 90s. Salt, we now have 9 to 12 grams per day on average. Meat consumption has also grown remarkably from 10 kilograms in the 60s to now we're expecting to have almost 40 kilograms in 2030. Milk and dairy also increased from 28 to projected 66 in 2030. Fruit and vegetables, global increase overall, but fairly flat in Africa. Nothing has been changing in the last few years. Really, the only thing that was driven by health concern was fortification. So we have biofortification and addition of micronutrients to food, and that is becoming extremely common. But these trends are not contributing to overall global health. We can say that overall changes in the food supply chain are responsible for an increase in the risk of non-communicable diseases and overall of the global burden of disease. So can we find new directions? And actually, I believe that we can. New directions towards which orienting food supply chain could reduce the global burden of disease. We could replace saturated fats and trans fats with polyunsaturated vegetable oils, and this would lower coronary heart disease. We could reduce salt to the recommended levels of 5 grams, and that would have a major impact on blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. We could increase fruit and vegetables and save 2.8 million lives. So we could pursue these goals at different stages of the whole supply chain. And I really would like to mention just 3. Primary production, we could select oil crops. Horticulture. Processing, we could reformulate products, put down trans fats, salt, refined sugar, the use of ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, whole grain cereals. We could affect marketing and distribution. So in other words, and in conclusion, we could design health-mindful supply goals, fat, carbohydrates, macronutrients, and animal source food. And this alignment can be pursued. There are several tools to do that, which could be going from negotiation with the private sector to a lot of tools that the government has to drive this supply. Thank you.
Dr. Millar.